A very good evening to you. Welcome to another exciting edition of Big Talk, a program where we highlight issues concerning Nigeria's political circle and how we can actually move this country forward. My name is Ubong Usoro, and you're welcome to the program tonight. Tonight on the program, we'll host the former DG of the Nigerian National Orientation Agency, Dr. Mike Omeri. Thank you so much, Dr. Mike, for coming on the program.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much. All right, so we talk about Nigeria's democracy today and how we can entrench people-centric leadership. But let me start by asking, you've been with the Nigerian project, you've been an active participant in the Nigerian project for quite a while. When you look at Nigeria, what comes to your mind? How do you explain Nigeria to anybody that asks?
Well, essentially, I see two parts to this question. One, how do I see Nigeria, and how do I expect Nigeria to someone? Well, to put it in perspective, right. When we started, our journey, or my age mates and mates, I'm about 62 now. The question then was, how would you be part of this growing success, and how would you contribute to the growth of Nigeria? Because it was already on the fast lane, going in the direction that you'd expect a country to go. Now, I remember, I think I was still in the university around 1985 or thereabout, or 86. A lecturer of mine, Darcy Drury, I read mass communication at the University of Maiduguri. Those days, we had the first, second set of the course. It was very rare. You hardly find universities teaching. It was only Lagos, Kano, Maiduguri, and a few others, one or two others. So I wrote an article. It was a class assignment. Darcy Drury is a Canadian who came to teach. And he read my article and looked for me. He said, look, I have to take you to Canada. Now, I came for sabbatical, I've finished, let's go to Canada, you get work, a job immediately. I say, to Canada? What are you doing in Maiduguri? I have a country to build, and there is not just that. Nigeria was something you look forward to finishing your work and be part of the moving train to success. Now, we got the opportunity along the way. I was in Jos after I finished university, worked for 2 years here and there in two other organizations. At the point I felt, look, how am I contributing? I left my job. I had 2 degrees, one in mass comm, another in international law and diplomacy. And I started selling suya in Jos and had a place called Gashi. Right. And I was making money. It was from there I was appointed the Director of Press Affairs to the governor. That was the Nigeria I saw, full of possibilities, not opportunity. I went for the possibilities. That if a night soil man and all of these could do the things they do and feed their families, I could do anything. Right. And I can make it. So as a country, that was my vision of Nigeria. A country of possibilities. We had potentials, we got independence, but now that we are self-governing, we should be a country of possibilities and opportunities. Now, over time, a lot of things were not done the way we knew them. And it is happening in our period of growth, as individuals, as citizens. So many things were changing. The way we related, the things we did, the things the way we appreciated sacrifice. A lot of things were eroding. Now, how do we get it back? Because now, to tell someone about Nigeria, I'll tell him that still this country is of possibilities and opportunities. This country can make it. All that this country needs is a leadership that will draw the line, work with the citizens, and do the right things.
Right, so talk about the leadership now. You've seen Nigerians do leadership. You've seen the military era, right? And you've at least been actively participating since 1999 in Nigeria's leadership. Let's take us through your construct of the Nigerian leadership system.
Well, give me anything. I'd rather a civilian democratic process than a military dictatorship. But again, I worked with some military officers and I saw some of them are even more democratic than the current set of leadership or leaders that we have in the democracy we practice. Because there were a few of us, when I became commissioner for information, by the way, I was commissioner for information, I was commissioner for youth, sports and culture, and transport.
Commissioner and works.
I was commissioner for works. Now, see, the last one, commissioner for works, I'm not an engineer, I'm not a quantity surveyor, nothing, not an architect. But I led a ministry of works with success. You were in life here, I guess. You saw most of the buildings, you see the houses there, the offices, the hospital, the government house. We built them. At that time, with a subvention of 80 million, part of which was for salary, 50% went for salaries, and the rest for the provision of infrastructure in a new state. And these are the things that have become the pillars and for comparative analysis, if you want to, between that period and now. And they get more money now. So, for me, I would tell Nigerians that, I mean, not just Nigerians, anybody, that we still have opportunities in our solid minerals, in our human capital, in our weather, because we have all types of weather in the country. You can choose which one you want to use or live in. And then, you know, our agriculture is fantastic. Our environment it has something for everyone. So come to Nigeria and do the right things. You don't have to cut corners. If you insist, if you report even those who punish, expose it. And that is where I see the role of the journalists as an important one. But unfortunately, my colleagues are compromising. They are not reporting, they don't investigate, they don't follow a matter to the end. And because of the flurry of activities in Nigeria, there is something for every day. So, and we are quick to abandon this for the next. We should have investigative journalists. My dissertation or thesis that time was on investigative journalism in Nigeria. Let's investigate one matter. One journalist can be interested in matter and investigate to the end. But then there is a responsibility to that journalist. That responsibility comes from the funding of the work that is being done. And because the outcome will be impactful, it celebrates, it promotes, and ensures that you are kept alive. You know, because it will bring advertisers, which should be your primary source of resources, and the documentaries, the information you bring should attract such patronage.
Right. So one of the issues that have bedeviled Nigeria's leadership have been the culture of tribalism, ethnicity, and religion. Why do we keep having this argument in our national discourse or dialogue? We're quick to point to, where is this person from? What does this person worship? Why do we keep having that in our issues of leadership?
We have changed our leadership selection criteria or process to include religion, tribe, and the nonsense. Sorry. You see, when Nigeria was created, it was North and South. It was not Muslim and Christian. It was not Fulani and Yoruba. No, it was North and South, which means anybody from the North can emerge to rule Nigeria. It must not be a Fulani from the North. It must not be a Muslim from the North. But as it were now, there are people in the North that are either, in fact, if you tell them, if I, a Christian from the North, if I say I want to contest for the presidency, a fellow Northerner will ask me, so where will we get the vice president from? Because I am not a Fulani, I'm not a Muslim. I may not get the opportunity. And these questions we get asked often. So when there are problems, all of us will come together as Northerners. When things are smooth, things everybody takes. And the kind of Islam and Christianity we even see today is not what we grew up with. Everything has changed. People profess Islam, profess Christianity, but they do the wrong things. They set people against each other in the name of what I don't know, and that has crept into the service. And a leader who emerges fair and square, serves fair and square, delivers justice, delivers the services and infrastructure to the good of benefit of society. We don't need to know where he comes from.
Absolutely.
But we let him come from wherever, not from here, but let him come and deliver the service. We must rise above this mediocre consideration when selecting leaders. It is not the right thing. It takes us back.
Right. So have the Nigerian people been involved in the selection of leadership in Nigeria? Because there's a word I heard, one of my colleagues was speaking to me, and he said, maybe we have elite capture of our system. Are the Nigerian people now involved, or have our democracy been captured by some elite or some political force?
Well, I wouldn't even say elites, because a proper definition of elites will do the right things. But if you say some political force, I will agree. And I will say, with due respect, that this trend of descent into tribal and religious politics, particularly religious politics, started after the several periods of postponement in the transition to democracy. And so people got tired of and wary of participating in politics. So before long, when 1999 came, lots of people would experience, lots of people with the patriotism that started this country, that provided leadership, were tired because they had been frustrated. Or so new people that came, not that they didn't have experience, or even when they have, or they had, they were the new set of people who came with their own religion, with their own way of manner of speaking, even their languages. So they assumed leadership and shut the door. Now, in Nigeria, if you are aspiring to be a leader, once you get in, you shut the door and tighten it very well. So the next person outside has to fight, struggle. So at the end of the day, in search of credible leadership, the person who managed to enter and shut the door will not look for people with better ideas to succeed him. He will look for the meekest in the room, who he thinks he can manage, he can manipulate and hand over. When that one comes, he sees that he has access to the siren, the 1 billion he can sign with the red pen, and he's out there. He becomes not just arrogant, he fights whoever brought him. And his meekness will not translate to anything good.
Right.
And so we continuously erode the value of leadership, especially of the people that emerge. The leaders that we had before had vision, they ruled with ideas. From Awolowo, Sardauna, Tafawa Balewa, Zik, all of them, name them. They were driven by ideas. They wanted to look like Europe. They wanted to look like the best of the rest. But this time around, most of the leaders, 90%, and I challenge them, they enter his family, friends, and what are they targeting? The treasury. They manipulate the appointment processes. Look, as a leader, if I see a leader succeeding and I look around him, I see that he has brought people who are better than him. That is a leader. I will follow him, I will vote for him, I will do whatever. But what we have today is a crisis. Even confusion is in crisis. Because you see people elected on this party, tomorrow they're on another party,
Right.
another party.
I'll ask you about that. Let me just follow up with that question. Some say that our democracy is still at a teething stage. It is developing. So that is why we have these issues of no stability as to parties, people moving from one party to the other. I'd like to hear your view.
This type of corrupt democracy, yes, I agree. But we have had democracy truncated when the military came. In between it, they still were able to relate with people, one way or the other.
But they were accused of corruption as well.
We had, excuse me, yes, but we had limitations. That's where I'm going. Right. Because they too indulge in some kind of corrupt practices. Right. But you could see, judging from what they did, they would take small here, small there, small there. But this one, they are not just stealing the egg, they are stealing the chicks, they are stealing the chicken, they are stealing the pot, they are stealing the everything. And what are they doing with it? You see, how can one person, because his only known business is that he participated in one government for 4 years or 8 years. He has amassed 50 houses, billions in his account, and so forth and so on. What was the process? What was the... Now, how many military officers that served as administrators had those? Maybe their leadership, the presidents of that time, were reputed to be corrupt, but it did not transcend beyond those hierarchy,
right?
The way we see today is incredibly different. So, what this avarice, this confusion, this stealing, how is it going to make you live forever? For God's sake, how much is enough? Family and friends, turning state treasury to personal pots. No. It's not right. The people, they may have emerged from the populace, but the population is trained by these thieves to behave like them.
Right. We'll talk about the population. But let me ask you, in your analysis of the Nigerian political system, let's take from 1999, have we made progress? Are we doing better with each election cycle? Are we getting stronger? Because some persons have said, congratulations to Nigeria, we've done 26 years of unbroken democracy. We've never done that in the country. So that's some progress.
We have done progress in terms of eliminating the attraction, perhaps, to coup. But for the electoral processes, we have seen people will win election, somebody else will be mad. Somebody will be number 4, tomorrow he will be number 1. Somebody will win election, everybody knows, like in Nasarawa, the last gubernatorial election. It was widely known by everybody. If you go to IRF, I don't know if they have brought it down. He's still Ombugadu that won that election. And yet, the judicial process, the interest of tribe and religion and where I came from played up, and they took that seat away. And it's not the only one. There are several around the country. So are we making progress? Why is it that we always have glitches at INEC? And after only during election, after election, INEC has not set up, go to any university and say, find out how we can avoid these glitches so that we can do the right things. No. And they will spend billions of dollars to fix INEC for the next election. Election will come, glitches, only on the day of the election. Don't you see something is wrong with us? All the election cycles, whether you are collating by, or doing manual collation or electronic collation, something goes wrong last minute. So the elites that you talked about, they are those who, the elites of the past, and the new elites, the people we see today. In fact, when you talk about the elites, my mind goes to those who are experienced, have worked, have retired, they didn't steal, they are educated, they have the experience. These ones that are parading themselves as elites, they are crooks who manipulate human behavior, who manipulate religion, who manipulate everything to stay in power, because the criteria that threw them up in the first place was crooked. It was not to drive leadership. These are the kinds that, if you see a snake, instead of killing it, you go and set up a committee to discuss how to kill that snake. These are the kind of people we have. No ideas to drive progress.
Right. Talking about ideas, one of the major instruments that was driving that, that kind of leadership, that kind of Nigeria that you talked about was the quality of education and access to information. I'd like to talk about, you worked as a DJ of the Nigerian Orientation Agency. Let's talk about the quality of information, about loving Nigeria, about being Team Nigeria. Do we have that information being passed from government offices, at the private sector, and all of the other organs that can, imbibe in Nigeria that culture and that love for country?
Nigeria, or the work at the NOA particularly. NOA is supposed to be like the civil society agency of government. It's supposed to mirror society and report back. When we were in NOA, we sought to know how to proceed with our campaign of getting Nigerians to love their country. And we concluded by saying, well, we asked people, they say, if only they would do the right thing. If this one, everybody was talking about the right thing. So we said, okay, let's get the mantra, do the right thing to transform Nigeria.
I saw the stickers, I remember.
Thank you. So now, the idea was that should you occupy any space, whatever you're doing, just do the right thing. Don't wait to be told. And that's the symbolism of leadership. You don't have to wait. You don't have to go and ask. You don't have, should I do this? Anybody in any organization who sees dirt, who sees something that needed to be moved to a particular location is not worthy of the name of a worker in that organization. Because leadership is in every space. Now, the NOA then, you could tell you the price of items in the market. And if we go to the market, we find Gari is 800 naira, the president knows it from our report. All the 36 governors, we used to send our reports to them. So in fact, we introduced a pooling system. We do polling, and we use the facilities of the NTA. We had a partnership between NOA and that we vote every Monday to get feedback from Nigerians on particular issues, which we report to the president. We report to the governors. We report to the security people and everyone. Now, we thought that should we continue to push this charge? It's not a slogan. So should we put this charge? Hey, do the right thing to transform Nigeria. And everybody accepts to do the right thing. That the government offices and so forth and so on, and information is shared on how we can collectively develop the building mechanisms for our country's progress. We will all be working in a direction. But unfortunately, while we were doing that, even that message was truncated.
By who?
It was truncated by the administration that took over after us. Because that was when we say change. We also, in doing that, we introduced the concept, do the right thing, change begins with you.
Change begins with you.
So when the government came, they now didn't want to do the right thing, transform Nigeria, and it became a political matter. So but they amplified, because we are just about launching the Do the Right Thing campaign. So the change begins with you campaign was amplified. And I remember discussing with Lai Mohammed then, he's my witness. He said the only change, the only addition or correction to that was that instead of saying change begins with you, say change begins with me. That was it. But when they took it out, I know that the NOA insisted, the system insisted that, look, do the right thing, change begins with you is important. We'll accept the change, that correction, but do the right thing, change begins with you.
Right, so very fair, assertion of that, your time at the NOA. But like I asked, the systems of the country, education primarily, which is supposed to be a leveler, which is supposed to be a springboard for a child of a commoner, being at any circle. How do we have that quality in Nigeria today?
You see, one of the ways, the easiest way to kill a country, its forces, its determinism, is to destroy its history, to kill it. And so, even the kind of history that we used to teach before was the one written for us. And even at a point, we stopped the teaching of history. History is one of the most important languages in the world.
Language, you say?
A country that does not know its history is bottled like a genie. Because, so we stopped teaching history, Nigerian history, we stopped relating to our past, the heroic tendencies of our leaders. And so we had no standard. What we do today is the standard. But if we can relate to the standards of the past, of the Awolowos, of the other leaders, the civil servants, the Awonis, and the rest, we will now be striving to either be like them or better than them. Because that was their wish, that we coming behind will be better than them. So now we are setting our own comfortable standards of leadership. And that standard has to come with some compromises. If not, some people, by their orientation, by their education and making, cannot get there.
Right. So,
and these are the people that have compromised our education.
Deliberately.
Yes, because if somebody will not pass election exam, they'll go and beg. And they'll say, okay, he's my tribe, allow him. Oh, he's my religion, allow him. Oh, even religion self, if you are not in this sect or that sect, you are in trouble. You have to be in sync. So where are we taking, even the religion is taking, I'm telling you, the current religion we are doing is leading us to hell. I am telling you, it's leading us to hell. Because it's a religion of hate on both sides. It's a religion of deceit. It's a religion of respecting thieves in the church, in the mosques. Today, I see even the mosques, they give big people front row. In the church, front seat. Church. That I started out, that we were trained in. No. Even a president is coming, or governor is coming, his orderly alone, or whatever protocol will come and take a place for him. Because he may not come earlier than the take-off time. But today, you see a protocol officer who does not even know the work, will not only keep a seat for his organ in the church, Catholic church, he will be trying to get other seats, 4 or 5 rows, that nobody should sit. They will decide who will sit in the church.
Right, so
it's the same thing in the mosque.
Right. One other perspective is people who are saying that it is the British formation that Nigeria was programmed to fail from beginning. From the amalgamation, from independence in 1960, that the template given to the founding fathers was a template that was already designed to fail.
Now, do you want me to talk?
Go ahead, sir.
You see, yes, the British made a fundamental mistake, error. Because when they came, and that is one of the problems of not teaching history, the correct history. When they came, there lots of communities were still fighting the British. In fact, we were fighting the British until the West, that is East and Western Nigeria, submitted. If you come to the Middle Belt particularly, the North Central or Central Nigeria, by 1917 they were still fighting. They didn't allow the British. But before then, before the amalgamation, by the time the Fulani came to this country in 1804 or thereabout, there were traditional societies that had been here, some BC, some AD, like the ones that, like the Fulanis that came also AD. And they had systems organized because they transited from maybe some other very civilized societies to settle here. 5,000, all of those ages, there are stories like that, especially in the Middle Belt of Nigeria. Now, when the British themselves couldn't understand the complexities of these smaller tribes that have, if they had studied the system, they would have known that the people drew their ancestry, their heritage, their methods of doing things from one source. They didn't do that. So they were looking for ease of doing business, ways ease of doing business. And the best way was to surrender, introduce the indirect rule, and brought the people that the Middle Belt resisted, the Fulanis that the Middle Belt fought and resisted, they now brought them under the emirs and caliphate system. So that was the beginning of the problem. And that is why we believe that the military, the British laid the foundation for the crisis that we are seeing, especially in the north. And then the Middle Belt, or the North Central, or Central Nigeria, is made up of various cultures. Various cultures. But there was an identity. There was an identifier among them. Which, even their music, their culture, you could find something similar their kingship. They had it organized. But when the Fulanis came, they sought to uproot the existing culture and supplant it with a new culture of theirs, which, to my mind, also laid a further foundation for what is happening here, because the central Nigeria people have gone to school. It's just like husband and wife separated. Someday the children will ask for their father. So this is what is happening now. People are asking for their father. No, look, we need to have our identity. We need to sit on the table. And Alex Ukweme made a proposal. The late Vice President Alex Ukweme made a proposal. And General Sani Abacha accepted and pronounced by fiat the 6 geopolitical zones, 1994, 1993. That is how we have this south-south, southeast, southwest, and then north central, northeast, and north. Now, like I said earlier, the independence was granted on the basis of north and south, not on the basis of religion. But today, religion has crept in. Instead of us, if we had continued north-south, anybody from the north can be, anybody from the south can lead Nigeria, can do anything, so long as they are mentally correct and doing the right thing. But now you go and bring somebody who is adept in his religion, but does not know how to lead.
Okay. Yeah, I like to ask now, we've seen situations like the US where they started as colonies, 13 colonies at a time, and they started expanding to, what we have today as the United States of America. And originally, most of the persons traced their descent to maybe Scotland, Ireland, thereabout. Basically, people from different places who came together and said, we can form as a country and stay together. But my question is, Nigeria, we've been together for quite a long time now. Are you convinced that the longer we stay together, we'll maybe get some sense of unity and more love and more coherence and start to live together? Like you use an husband and wife analogy. Maybe if they fought and they stayed together for so long, they could learn to stay peacefully.
You see, the America you talked about, the example you gave, at that time, America, most of them were, should I use the word, were, the rogues of society. Right. And it was not only America that benefited from that founding. Australia, even Liberia. Right. They were slaves, and because they were white slaves too, they were terrible people too. So they now said, okay, let's take them to distant places where they will not come to us again. That is from the British side, because the British had almost conquered the whole world, the British Empire. So in the search for land, they found that's the newfound land, and left them in America. They took some to Australia, very far, so that they would not come back. They brought some to Africa. The same criteria was used. Now, when they settled, they had people there, they met people there. And they were doing all manner of uncanny things. They were engaging in uncanny behaviors, doing all manner of things. And eventually they said, look, this thing that we are fighting and stealing, everybody carrying his own to his house, can't we create a system that we can all benefit from? They sat down. They had similar circumstances of deprivation. There's abundance. So they agreed and introduced reforms, which they obey. Their taxes, the tax system, the police system, and all of that, to check all of that. Even federal character, they have it in America. But it does not stop the same family from aspiring, because that is the concept of democracy and freedom. So they gave everybody their freedom to do what you want to do. In Nigeria, and okay, to sustain that in America, they needed that diversity, because they all came from Scotland, from this and that, were there. Some were even from Russia and Jews. Now, to sustain that, every 4 or 5 years or whatever number of years, which I'm not sure of now, they allow people to come in from different cultures, different backgrounds to America and settle. They even give them citizenship. They have since realized that in diversity, there is fortune. So they allow these people so that they can tap from their talent, from their culture, from their experience, from their intelligence and interaction. Nigeria, we have diversity beyond the kind that America needs, the kind that people who develop need. We are not using it. Instead, we are using that against ourselves. Because in all of these cultures, whether you're Muslim, pagan, whatever, there are 40 proven principles of character, whether in religion, in Islamic religion or Christianity or traditional African beliefs. They are the same. The same thing, which means the concept of God is even the same.
Permeates
everybody.
Right. Right. So I like to you just have a few minutes as about your involvement in politics over the time and our political party systems, because we know that in Nigeria we do not have independent candidature, so you need to run elections on the platform of our political parties. Our political parties who are made to safeguard and midwife our democracy, what is your assessment of our political parties?
The same virus that afflicted leadership is what is deployed into the political party system and our democracy. And that is why people are not secured. When they have access to power, they win elections, they want to destroy everybody, and it's me and me alone and my family. You don't need to do that. You can always run on your record. Perform. That is where I say ideas, we're talking about ideas and performance. So if you have performed, why are you afraid? Why will you stop competition? After all, it's democracy. It's not military rule. That's why I say the military did politics better. It's not military rule, but you are doing democracy as if you are in a military dictatorship. We must not be all in one party. We must not all be fighting to take a one-man show. That is the trend since 1999. Perhaps the first 4 years was okay, but after the first 4 years, we started to see those indices of corrupting the process of practice of democracy. So right now, you find political parties no direction, simply because there is over-reliance on government funding. Political parties of the past, members contribute.
Right.
This one, if you enter office, still and give the party, still and give influencers in your community, every ward. In fact, because of the importance of party and access to resources, people will put their, if you're a delegate, you put a delegate. You, for instance, Usoro, because you're a delegate, you go and print card with the code of sharing, so that if you're a politician, you know that come and give me. We have seen these things. And it's continuing in our system. We are not facing the democracy, building democracy and freedom. We are facing politics. Politics of manipulation, politics of conquest. You don't conquer your countrymen. Once you lead, you are leading everybody.
You said something. You said you do not conquer your countrymen.
No, you lead everybody. Your responsibility. If you truly believe in God, you are doing Muslim, or Christian, or whatever format, and you're saying you are doing it in the name of God, that God will punish you. Because you are now segregating his own people, his own creation, who you are a part. I say, I will not give them water, I will not give them road until they join my party. Does that make sense? Meanwhile, it's their own resources, common resources that you are not only using, you are stealing and doing all manner of things. You think God will forgive you. After all, you sought for power. Power belongs to God. It's a common saying. And so if you are in power, it's like God has given you a bit office so that you can rule the people and organize them. You are not doing it. what do you think would be the outcome?
So how do we make our political parties more effective? We talk about parties in the First Republic, the Second Republic, and how they could be identified to some individuals. And one common denominator that a lot of persons mention when our political party systems is mentioned is the issue of no ideology. You are a member of the PDP. I would like to ask, does the PDP have ideology? And your party, most of the political parties that we have now are enmeshed in internal disputes. How does that give credence? Because some persons say if our politicians, if our leaders cannot lead a political party, can they lead Nigeria?
Yes. Two things. First, the parties of those days, they always have meetings. Even if leaders had ideas, they will call for central meeting. They will explain the idea. People will have a buy-in before it goes out, and they participate in not only building the idea, they contribute to sustaining the party. Today it's not like that. You just wake up and hear that they have done something. So there is no buy-in. The next thing is protest. The next thing is we don't understand what this government is doing. The next thing, they start challenging government. And it's not peculiar to this administration. Right. It's a story that we have seen over time. We don't explain any policy, public policy to the public. We force it down there. They must be accepted. That is not how. Western region, when the leaders wanted it created, they wrote the memo, everything, but they had to go for a plebiscite and get the voices of the people. And to do that, leaders, their own people, had to go and explain to them what they are doing and what they want and the benefits of that. The people voted and agreed before the request for the creation of Western region was sent to the Constitutional Conference. In fact, they had to say, it happened even in the North Central, the Middle Belt people. So they requested for the creation of the Benue Plateau region and the Western region. But again, some forces of inconsideration didn't want it. So Plateau was not created, even though it merited it and fulfilled the criteria. Western region was created to make sure some people are divided. But then a vote was passed. The people wanted it. Here, there was no, even though it was recommended, it was not created. But that's beside the point. Right. Now, talking about the role of leadership. Right. Leadership must listen. You don't have to know everything. Listen. Even if you don't take it, within what some people are saying, it may trigger your own idea, it might trigger your experience, or you can even take the ideas and call them to be part of the implementation. But here we have leaders who know everything. Like I said, in any leadership, if you see a leader employing people who are better than him, follow that leader. He knows where he's going. Because you don't always know. The people may sometimes also know even better.
Right, absolutely.
So if you see them going in a direction and you insist it must be your direction, they will go and leave you. So a wise leader will allow them to lead when they can. Then you go in front as if you are the one who initiated it. Gradually, you will turn them back to where you want to go with them.
So sir, with the internal disputes we have, the Labour Party, there's a contest for leadership between Julius Abure and Nadi Usman, the PDP, your
I'm
party.
coming there.
Right.
You talked about whether the parties have any internal ideology.
Right.
Since I entered the PDP, I've not left the PDP on principle. Because I agree, if we agree that we meet me here today, we meet here tomorrow. You see me there. And if we have to move, it has to be a collective arrangement and agreement based on our philosophy, based on our principles, based on, even if we have an ideology and we want to modify it, we can modify it and move. But individuals jumping up and down, no, it does not work for democracy. Because at the end of the day, anything can slip. And then somebody else takes power. Then you run from there to this place. If you see such, it's inconsistency. There are some that I wouldn't denigrate their moves because they were pressed to the point that they have to take a position. Ekiti, for instance, Oshun, even Ekiti, election is coming.
Yeah,
PDP, they are in PDP. They don't know. They don't know who will sign their forms. They don't know who will do this, who do this. So they will look for a little stable party to win, and continue the ideology of service that their party has. But you voted. You said all the bad things against the other party. You won your election on the mandate and promises you made on this party. Then tomorrow you move to the same party that you insulted the other day. Then there is no principle. It is about you. It is not about the party that voted you to power. That is why you still find people in PDP who are fighting for the soul of the PDP. They have not moved out of frustration. They still have hope that it may be better, it may work. There are others who are disdained, who are committed to ensuring that the party is not able to present candidates, although they know that they need the structure, they need the platform, but not for today. It should be in this area for tomorrow's sake. You see, such people cannot take you to the promised land.
So for Nigerians, bystanders like us, we're asking, with these issues that we have, can we now trust our political system to midwife a new Nigeria?
It is possible. It is possible to wake up one day in an election, some people would win, and they have that persuasive element and tendency to ensure that we live by organizing ourselves. One thing we don't have is our communities are not organized, and nobody is interested in organizing.
No organization.
Because if you organize the communities and they begin to know their rights, they begin to do the right things, they will challenge what. But now our disorganization is being weaponized. Just like our poverty, that's why we're in poverty. In our religion is weaponized, poverty is weaponized, and hunger. And a hungry man does not know any ideology. He has children to feed, he has this, so we weaponize poverty. So unless leadership allows, trains, organizes, and allows people.
Trains, organize, and also allows the people.
Yes, to do the right things. But as it is, even when you want to do right, they will tell you, they'll give you a name.
Right. So another question I'd like to ask, we're going to be rounding off, is about the monetization of our political process. We talked about that just off air.
Yeah.
How, if you do not have, I've even seen, I think a friend sent me a write-up that said to contest for presidency, you need about 100 billion naira. He was just putting figures to what you need as funds to be able to contest for election. You've been in the system. Is that what happens? And
yes.
If that is what happens, what do we do? Where do we go from here?
Let me tell you two things.
Right.
In my community, I want to contest for the Senate in the next election. Although I'm still trying to see whether my party will be stabilized or not. And that is all factor of resources. Now, this monetization is not only limited to, it was introduced to the people by those who mistakenly found their way and access to power. Now, it has not only stopped at that level, even the process of electioneering and electoral outcomes has also been monetized. You can pay police, you can pay INEC, you can pay everybody, you can pay judiciary. In one of the cases, I know the client came and said, look, I've settled the judge, so reduce your pay. He was telling his lawyer, reduce your charges, because we have just given the judge some money. Now, in this country, I don't know, maybe I'll be brought before them and they'll punish me for this comment, but I have to make it. In this country, some judges or justices, if you give them your case, if your case goes before them, you know the outcome. You know the direction. You don't have to wait for them to go and pronounce it. And we should be afraid that such can happen. Someone who should live above board, someone who swears, someone who says he believes in God and the hellfire and punishment and all of that is a judge, will sit down knowing fully well that what he is doing is wrong, is detrimental to society. He will go and do it. Because he's paid, he's bribed, he's corrupted by a system that upholds such kind of conclusions. We have seen it happening. We have seen where judges will be asking for money, directly or through third party. Excuse me. If we continue to monetize for corrupt tendencies and practices, our processes, do you think we'll get out of this doldrum? Do you think those who even perpetrate it and support it and carry that will survive? Because they will also fall into that same trap. If not today, tomorrow.
So what do we do? How do we get out of this doldrum?
How we get out of it? All of these groups have one professional bodies or the other. They should talk to themselves. The media should remove itself. I saw something here, ethics, values, and that is what the media was known for. But the media today has also joined.
No, because the media, I'm not making excuses, but it's quite very difficult to run media in Nigeria today. Because
the ownership has become political. Check the media. Most of the owners are political leaders. Or they are participating in one political party or political activity or the other.
Right. Okay, so as we leave now, as we just look at Nigeria, what comes to your mind? What do you see for the future of the country?
No. Nigeria has, we have spoken. I say Nigeria has possibilities. It's a country of opportunity. It can be rebuilt.
Right.
There are younger people coming. But unfortunately, my fear is that we will leave a destroyed country, a battered one that has weaponized all the bad things for them. They will come and, because right now, I saw in a video 2 days ago, a young, maybe 7 or 8 year old boy throwing money at a party in Nigeria. I have seen so many of these kind of things. So a small boy will come to school sitting with the police escort and they open and salute him to enter class.
Right.
I have seen it. So was that how you went to school? That was not how I went to school. And it's not as if there was no opportunity for me to be driven or to be taken on a bicycle to school or a motorcycle. But we trekked, we gisted, we chatted on the road with our classmates, we got to know ourselves better. And that prepared us and gave us the strength that we're carrying on. That is why perhaps I'm even able to talk the way I'm talking.
Right.
So can we please go back there and teach history to these children about the heroic exploits of our footballers, of our politicians and other leaders, of our traders. Today, chieftaincy titles are not given to the, you see somebody will be called in Hausa, Sarki Noma. That's like the best farmer, head of the, because of his. Today, the person who is you see he's living in the city, maybe he's chief accountant of somewhere, he has so much money, he's the one that they'll give that village title to. And they are in all the spaces. The person who they used to have a very trustworthy person in the community, they give him title of Ajia. Ajia means the saver, somebody who saves the money or saves the treasure. Today is someone who steals and brings to the village that they will give him Ajia. Ajia of what? What are you saving? Products of illicit acquisition?
Thank you so much, Dr. Mike Omeri, former Commissioner of Works. You were Commissioner for Youth and Sports Development at the time, SA2 President, and recently you were the former Director General of the National Orientation Agency. Thank you so much for coming on the program, and we hope to see a Nigeria that you've always preached about. And
God will take us there, but we have to work, because even the Bible, the Quran says, it is your knees and your hands.
Thank you so much.
Pray and walk.
So we have to end the program now. And remember, as I say every day when I come on the program, we need to love Nigeria and do the best for the country. My name is Wong Osara in Abuja, and I'm saying bye for now.